So really there is no story to Hybrid, so what I wanted to do instead is talk about the controls. Now, for a game like Hybrid, which is a online only game, you would expect the controls to be very well done because you don't want to feel like you've been cheated when you're aiming at people trying to line up a shot, especially if you're using a sniper. You don't want to feel like even if the sensitivity is very low that it's still way too fast, or if it's really high it's way too, slow. Luckily here it's perfect. It really is. It never feels like it's way too slow or way too fast. The button placements, all the little equipment things you could do on the buttons are very well placed. I mean, they all make sense. And I will be talking about this later on in the gameplay, but because the game has no real free movement, you can't actually move around yourself, it feels a little weird that you ain't going to be using the left thumbstick as much as you usually do from something like Gears of War or even a Ghost Recon. I don't know, it just felt a little weird, but for the most part, the controls are very well done here. Now, with that being said, let's talk about the sound for Hybrid, which I have to admit, okay? Sound design wise and even soundtrack wise, the game is really good. I mean, the soundtrack is very energetic, very futuristic. You hear it almost all the time. It's really damn good in the game. I mean, it's not fantastic, but it's good. It gets you energetic and it makes you want to go and kill the enemy, which is good. I always like to kill the enemy. And if there's a song that makes me want to kill enemies, then I'm going to listen to it, goddammit. And also, I really like the sound design here. I think it's very well done. I also like how it has a very futuristic style to it, just like the soundtrack. All the guns, all the abilities you'll use, all have a very futuristic sound to them. Also, I like how there's only 3-on-3, but for some reason, the game always sounds like there's like a mini war going on, and there's only 6 people in the environment. And I don't know, I really like that. So for the most part, the sound is really good in the game. The thing is, there's no voice acting. I mean, there's a little bit, but not even enough to count it as voice acting. You hear some in the beginning, you hear some in the training mode, and that's it. You might hear some here and there, but for the most part, you barely hear any, and that's a problem. I love voice acting, and that is a huge problem for me. But for the most part, the sound is really good. Now let's talk about the graphics for Hybrid, and the same thing I said for the sound will apply for the graphics. It has a very futuristic look to it, and you can obviously tell because it's all white. The entire game is white. Your characters are white, the backgrounds are white, your guns are white, I'm white, you're white, and for the most part, even though the color palette doesn't change, the game's style, the environments, the way the characters look, it all looks really sleek and very nice. I just like all the white futuristic stuff. I don't know why. Maybe it's just I like the color white. I don't know. Maybe it's because I played Syndicate and I thought, hey, that looked really cool in white, so everything needs to be white, and it looked really good. I really liked it. But my one major complaint is that every one of the environments / maps all feel the same because of the color palette. I mean, I like it. White is cool, everything looks futuristic, but all the maps feel exactly the same, and that is a major complaint for a multiplayer only game when everything feels exactly the same. But overall, I still really like the graphics. It has a very cool futuristic style to it, and I really dig it. But now let's talk about the most important part of any game, and that is the gameplay. And here, Hybrid is a third-person cover-based online-only multiplayer game. Wow, that was a mouthful. And at first glance, you will look at Hybrid and go, okay, it looks like a cover-based shooter. It could be fun, but it looks very generic. And when you start playing it, that thought goes right out of your mind because it is completely not generic. I mean, the gameplay itself is generic, sure. I mean, you shoot people, you try to shoot them in the head, you try to kill them, you try to get points. You've played this type of game before, sure. And for the most part, the shooting is very, very fun in the game. The thing that really makes this game not generic is that you do not have the ability to move. Yes, that is right. The thing that makes this unique is that they took a feature out of most third-person shooters where you can actually move. Here you cannot. The only way you can move is you have to move from cover to cover with a jetpack. That is right. You zoom from one place to another by using a jetpack, which is bad ass. Now, while you're jetpacking to a different cover, you can also either shoot enemies that are also jetpacking or that are behind a certain piece of cover that you can look over and shoot at, or you can actually move around a little bit and like dodge bullets, or switch to a different piece of cover and automatically go to that cover instead. It's actually really smooth and very responsive, and I actually really enjoy the jetpacking and the moving around. It just feels so unique and so fresh. I just really enjoy it. Like I said before, the gunplay here is actually a lot of fun. I mean, sure, it's very simple, and if you've played any other third-person shooter, then you've played this type with the gunplay at least. But it's still a lot of fun. It's very rewarding, especially when you get kill streaks, which actually awards you different abilities. Like one kill streak will get you a little robot that follows you around and kills people for you. A 2 kill streak will actually get you a big robot that follows you around and helps you kill people. And a 3 kill streak gets this ninja robot that appears out of nowhere and kills a random dude out of nowhere, which again, like I said earlier, is badass. And of course, just like any other multiplayer game, you have a level up system that when you actually level up your character will unlock different weapons and helmets and different abilities, like different grenades and different things that actually perk out your character. And you know, it actually adds a little bit more dimension to the game. But now, let me talk about some of the negatives, and I have 2 negatives. 1, the multiplayer modes are fairly generic. I mean, I do like how the multiplayer is set up. In the game, you actually have to pick a faction right in the beginning, and whatever faction you pick, whenever you win, you actually support that faction in whatever zone you pick, because you can actually pick, like, I'll play a game in North America or South America or Africa, and if you win a game in that zone of that country or continent, then you actually support that faction there, which is really, really cool. I actually really enjoy that. But the concept is so cool that the multiplayer modes could have been more inventive. I mean, it's just team deathmatch and some team objective modes, and that's really it. And that's kind of sad. And my second complaint is, I don't know how long this community is gonna last, but I will say right now, it is a very active community, so if you actually want to try this game out, I highly recommend it because it's actually a very fun game. So overall, I recommend Hybrid. Definitely try the demo out, and if you like it, then buy it. So anyway, there you go. There's my review. Thank you and goodbye.